Caldwell, 29, stood in her modest Ohio home staring at the folded American flag resting on her mantel. It had been a year since her older brother, Noah, was declared KIA, killed in action, in Afghanistan. The military ceremony had been beautiful, respectful. She cried, she grieved, she tried to move on. But a hollow ache never left her. Emma, now a trauma counselor, tried to use her pain to help others, but some nights she still talked to Noah in her head. He'd been her best friend, her protector growing up. She missed his laugh the most. Until one day, at the farmer's market, she glimpsed a man who looked exactly like him. Same walk, same strong jaw, same nervous habit of tapping his left hand. He disappeared into the crowd before she could speak. Emma froze. That couldn't be him, right? Emma couldn't shake the image of the man at the market. Later that evening, she dug through an old shoebox filled with Noah's photos. Her fingers stopped on a picture taken just before his last deployment. He wore the same leather bracelet she saw on the man today, a one-of-a-kind gift she'd given him years ago. Her heartbeat picked up. Could it really be him? Or was grief playing tricks on her mind? She texted her best friend Dana, who tried to talk her down. "You're just missing him," Dana said gently. But Emma knew what she saw. The next weekend, she returned to the market, this time with a camera. Emma waited near the produce stand for over an hour. Just when she began to doubt herself, she saw him again, talking to a vendor, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. Her breath caught. It was Noah, she was sure. She moved closer, trying not to scare him, but as she raised her phone to snap a photo, he turned, looked straight at her, and walked away. No emotion, no recognition, just a blank, calculated exit. She followed, but by the time she rounded the corner, he was gone. Emma stood alone, heart pounding, the beginnings of something impossible forming in her chest. Why would he pretend not to know her? Unless he wasn't supposed to be seen. Emma couldn't sleep. The man she saw wasn't just a look-alike. He was her brother. She needed proof. The next morning, she returned to the market and asked the vendor he'd spoken with about him. "Oh, that's Wes Carter," the vendor said casually. "Nice guy. Lives around here, I think." Emma's heart raced. Wes Carter? That name meant nothing. But her brother Noah Caldwell wasn't supposed to be alive, let alone using an alias. She found a property listing nearby under that name. Wes Carter was renting a small lakeside cabin about 20 minutes outside town. Emma drove out and parked a distance away. She saw him, sitting on the porch, drinking coffee, laughing quietly at something on his phone. Her brother, alive. Emma didn't know how to approach him. Barging in could spook him. If he was hiding from something, or someone, it had to be serious. Instead, she wrote a note. Simple, emotional, and unmistakable. "I saw you. I know who you are. Please meet me. I'm not here to expose you. I just need answers. M." She slipped it into his mailbox just before sunset, her hands trembling. Then she waited. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, a movement on the porch. He stepped out holding the note. He read it, then looked around, face pale. For the first time, she saw fear in her brother's eyes. And then, he disappeared inside. Emma didn't return the next day. She waited 2 full days, unsure if he'd reply. Then, while she was closing up her counseling office late at night, a knock came at the back door. She froze. Only a few people knew that door even existed. She opened it slowly. There he stood, alive, older, different, but undeniably Noah. "Hey, Bug," he said softly. Tears sprang to her eyes. Bug, his old nickname for her since they were kids. Before she could speak, he added, "You weren't supposed to find me." He looked over his shoulder, tense. "We need to talk, but not here." Noah, now Wes, met Emma at a remote trailhead just before dawn. He looked tired, like someone who had been running for years. "I didn't die in combat," he said. "At least, not in the way they told you." He explained that during a classified mission, things went wrong. Someone on the inside sold out their unit. The ambush was no accident. Noah survived, but instead of returning home, he was ordered to disappear. "There are people who think I'm dead. I need them to keep thinking that." Emma's voice cracked. "But I buried you." He lowered his gaze. "I know, and I'm sorry." But the worst part? He refused to tell her who ordered him to vanish. "It's not just my life at risk, Em." Unable to let it go, Emma returned to her parents' house and pulled out a box of Noah's old things. Inside a hidden pocket of his army duffel bag, she found letters, handwritten, unsent, and heartbreaking. One was addressed to someone named Kay. Another referenced a mysterious safe house and the phrase, Operation Juniper. Emma took photos of the letters and sent them to Dana, her best friend, who was good with internet searches. Hours later, Dana called back, her voice shaking. "Emma, that operation name, it's connected to a real project, a covert one, but every link I clicked suddenly disappeared." They weren't just dealing with secrets, they were dealing with erased records. The next morning, Emma noticed a dark SUV parked across from her apartment building. When she walked her usual route, it followed, always just far enough not to be obvious. She called Noah. "They know I saw you," she whispered. His voice was tight. "Then we don't have much time." That night, Noah showed up with a burner phone and whispered instructions. "Whatever you do, don't go back to your apartment tomorrow. Stay somewhere else. They might not hurt you, but they will silence you." Emma's world was spinning. Her brother wasn't just in hiding, he was being hunted. Dana, still digging, uncovered a lead, a woman named Catherine Ellison, a former intelligence analyst presumed dead 5 years ago. Emma gasped. "K, from the letters." When Dana sent over a blurry photo, Emma's stomach dropped. She'd seen that woman with Noah at the market weeks ago, carrying groceries, laughing. Catherine Ellison hadn't died. She was living under a new name, with Noah. Emma confronted him. He didn't deny it. "She's the reason I survived," he said quietly. "But if they find her," he didn't finish the sentence. Now Emma realized, this wasn't just about Noah. It was about all of them. And whatever Operation Juniper was, it wasn't over. Emma received an unmarked envelope at her office. Inside, a flash drive and a note that simply read, "You're in too deep. Walk away while you can." She plugged the drive into her laptop, against her better judgment. What she saw made her blood run cold. Video footage, military files, redacted memos. Operation Juniper wasn't just a mission, it was a test, a human experiment involving deception, memory manipulation, and civilian surveillance. And Noah had been the whistleblower. The last file was a grainy video of Noah recorded years ago. "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an enemy, it was us." Emma sat frozen. He hadn't gone missing. He had been erased. Emma demanded answers. Noah finally confessed. He and Catherine had uncovered Juniper's truth, and the agency offered them a deal: disappear forever or be silenced permanently. Noah took the deal, believing it would protect Emma. He said, "They threatened to frame you, said you were compromised by association. I couldn't let that happen." Emma broke down. All these years she thought she lost him, but he had given up his life to protect hers. And now that she had the files, she had become the liability he once was. Emma returned home to find her apartment ransacked. Her computer was gone, files wiped. Even her phone had been factory reset. she was being warned. Dana had also gone silent. Her texts no longer delivered. Emma's chest tightened. She raced to the lakeside cabin, only to find it empty. Noah, gone. Catherine, gone. The porch light was still warm. They'd left just minutes before. But there was one thing left behind. A note, in Noah's handwriting. Don't follow. It's not safe. Protect the story. Tell the world if I disappear again. Emma clutched the note like a lifeline. They were gone. And now she had a choice. Emma sat in her car all night staring at the lake. She could run, disappear, or she could take Noah's story to the press and risk everything. Her job, her safety, her life, it would all be at stake. But staying silent would mean Noah gave up his life for nothing. In the early morning light, she picked up the flash drive, now hidden in a fake lipstick tube, and opened her email. Subject: confidential whistleblower testimony. To every major news outlet she could find. She hit send. Within 48 hours, the media exploded. Major networks, independent journalists, and veteran groups picked up the story. Whistleblower soldier alive after being declared dead in covert operation, headlined across screens. The government denied everything, of course, but the files Emma sent couldn't be ignored. Analysts authenticated them. Former operatives came forward. Emma received dozens of interview requests. She declined them all. This wasn't about fame. It was about Noah, about truth. But the world now knew her name. She couldn't go back to a normal life. She just hoped Noah and Catherine were safe enough to see it happen. Emma's mailbox overflowed with letters, some of support, some threatening. But one envelope, plain and unmarked, stood out. Inside was a photo of a beach. On the back, 2 words: nice work. Taped behind the photo was a tiny slip of paper with a burner phone number. Emma called. After 4 rings, a familiar voice answered. Noah? I'm proud of you, he said, his voice cracking. You did what I couldn't. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Where are you? I can't tell you, but I'm okay. We're okay. Keep going, stay safe, and Em, thank you. The line went dead. But for the first time, Emma didn't feel alone. Months passed. Investigations were opened, testimonies filed. The agency responsible for Operation Juniper was quietly dismantled. Emma moved to a quiet coastal town. She opened a small wellness center focused on trauma healing for veterans, whistleblowers, and families like hers. She kept Noah's note framed on her desk. Protect the story. Every now and then, she'd receive a new postcard. No return address, just a location and date. She never responded. She didn't have to. They were out there, living a hidden life. But they were alive. And they knew she was still fighting for the truth. Emma walked along the beach at sunrise, a mug of tea warming her hands. It had been almost a year since she sent that fateful email. Her life had changed forever, publicly and privately. She no longer checked over her shoulder. The threats had stopped. The journalists had moved on. But her mind still wandered to Noah. She imagined him somewhere warm, helping people like he used to. Maybe with Catherine by his side, maybe smiling. And though she could never visit, she carried him with her, in the causes she fought for, the people she helped, and the life she rebuilt. At a local veterans gathering Emma helped organize, she stood behind the registration table, checking in guests. The event was small, peaceful, until she looked up. Across the lawn, a tall man in sunglasses stood by the tree line. She knew that stance. Her breath caught. He gave the smallest nod, barely perceptible, then turned and walked away. Emma didn't chase him. She didn't need to. That moment was enough. He was still out there, watching from a distance, letting her know. He was proud, he was alive, he was with her. Emma kept one drawer in her home locked. Inside were 5 things: the flash drive, the letters Noah never sent, his bracelet, the first postcard, and a photo of them as kids on the swings behind their childhood home. She didn't need answers anymore. She had peace. Her brother had been taken from the world once and brought back by truth, by family, and by courage. And though she couldn't say his real name out loud anymore, she said it every night in her heart. Because some truths are too important to bury, and some bonds can never be broken, even by silence.